Thank you once again. And first of all, I must thank everyone for joining. This call will be recorded. And so if you object to recording of the call, you can send me a message. I will know how to take you off the recording. Other than that, it will be recorded and then for future use. So my name is Hamon. I'm just a convener of this meeting, and today we are fortunate to have Mr. Jones join us to share his experience with regards to academic application to the United States of America. He has a potpourri of experience in this field, and then I believe his successes and failures will guide many of us who yearn to apply for various universities in the US. So please feel free. This is a session where you are allowed to chip in and make your thoughts and questions known. At any point in time when the presenter is talking, you feel like you want to ask a question, you can either drop it at the chat session or raise your hand, and then you'll be allowed to speak. In the meantime, please adhere to the ethics of Zoom. You can mute yourself so that we don't get the feedback anytime somebody is speaking. Other than that, I thank you once again. I welcome our speaker, Mr. Jones Agyei, who is based in the US, and probably he could tell us a bit about himself and then kickstart the whole presentation. Thank you once again, and do enjoy this session.
All right, thank you, Hammond, for introducing me to the group. I'm going to be sharing my screen so that you guys will see what I prepared. I know we have a very short section, about 40 minutes, so I'm going to talk briefly in the next 20 minutes, and then if anyone has a question, you can ask. So I believe question time is like 20 minutes, and then I'll present for 20 minutes. So along the line, if you have any question, do not hesitate to let me know. And then if I'm going fast, or if I'm even going slow, just let me know, and then I will know what to do. Okay, I'll adjust myself accordingly. Thank you, Hammond, for introducing me. Hammond has been a very good person, a very good friend of mine, and then we've always been in touch up till now. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see me sharing my screen. Can you see my screen shared?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so again, my name is Jones Agyei, as introduced by Hammond, and I captioned this as, American Dream. You can also take it as International Student Guide to Study in the US. Okay. Now, most people call me the full scholarship coach, okay, because I've been helping a lot of people. I've helped hundreds of people to study in the US, okay. I teach and repeat my roadmaps that helped a lot of people to study in the US. So a lot of people call me the full scholarship coach. You can also call me a coach. You can call me an advisor. You can call me a counselor. Anywhere you want to call me, I'm okay with it, okay. But for this, or in this presentation, I'll just call myself the full scholarship coach, because that is my title. I speak everything that I speak. My language is full scholarship. I teach full scholarship. I do everything about full scholarship. Imagine if you come to the US and you don't have any sort of funding. If you come here without funding, I know, or you can imagine how you feel if you come to the US without funding. There are a lot of people who are in desperation in the US because, one, they do not have funding. They were not properly advised. So they came here and then they had no funding and they are struggling. Some even have to go back to their home. That is why I turn out to be, teaching about full scholarship. If I will let you come here, or if I will advise you to come here, I only teach about full scholarship. That is the only language. That is my DNA in summary. Okay, so let me go on and then introduce myself briefly before I head on to slide 2. Okay, so again, my name is Jones Agyei. Okay, someone has a question.
What you're gonna do is, Jones, you just run through. We give you 30 minutes to do everything, and then I pile up the questions here, and the rest of the questions that will come to the chat. You can see it, and the rest will allow.
Hello, good afternoon. Yeah, I'm doing well.
Can you, Hammond, can you tell them to mute all of them? They can all mute. Okay.
Yes, I just mute the person.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Come on. All right, so I'm going to talk in roughly like 30 minutes, and then we'll move on with our questions. Okay, so let me give a brief introduction about myself. So my name is Jones Agyei, and then
Um, Jones, can you unmute yourself? You just have to try it from your end.
can you hear
Yeah.
me now?
Yes.
Okay. So all that section, you didn't hear me when I was talking, right?
Yeah, the last thing we heard was DNA.
Oh, okay. All right. So if you can see this slide, okay. So some years back, I was just like you, and then I was so confused, so desperate, to study in the US. It all started with, having a dream. I believe you guys all have a dream. That is why you are on this platform. And I'm so excited to see, young, passionate people who want to study in the US, even though in the US, any part of the world. I believe you can create the kind of opportunity or, the kind of success you want to have in any part of the world. However, if you come to the US, okay, it's being streamlined in such a way that it has all the components, all the features that will even help you to be more successful. So you can create any opportunity in any part of the world, but even US even makes it very or makes it better. Okay, so I had a dream like you, just like you today. I had a dream and I wanted to study in the US. So it all started with a dream and I made through. So dream, whenever you have a dream, you have to make it through and then you have to let it happen. How did I make my dream happen? I engaged in my calling, okay, because the desperation was so many years, even back in junior high school, not in high school, but back in junior high school. I was so desperate. I just don't know. I just wanted to be in a different environment, create a lot of opportunities to help people. Okay, so it all started with a dream. That is the plan. So having this dream, I engaged in my calling. How did I engage in my calling? During my high school, during my bachelor's degree, a lot of people tend to call me, the full scholarship coach because I was in solo practice helping a lot of people to school here. And because I had a dream, okay, I engaged in the calling to still come here. I didn't have finances to get to the US, to make applications, to pay for application fees and all those crap. I didn't have anything to, or all the procedures, how to get the process, how to start the process, and even how to win a scholarship. I never knew anything, just like you today. But again, as I made mention of, I engaged in the purpose on earth, and then I was able to engage in that calling, and then based on that calling, the more I drew closer to that calling, the more I was able to engage, and it was revealed to me even to learn more about how to study in the US. And finally, look at me here now. I'm a coach, I'm a counselor, I'm an advisor, helping a lot of people. My track records are a lot. I cannot talk about this now, but I have helped a lot of people to gain full scholarship to study in the US. So basically, if you want to know more or learn more, even you can go to Instagram, just type in Full Scholarship TV. You can learn more about what I post every day. We're having a webinar, okay, that will even talk more about the processes, especially those who want to study undergraduate, master's degree, doctoral degree, and so on. So if you go to Instagram, Full Scholarship TV, you can learn more from there. All right, so let me continue with my slide. So as I already made mention of, the main reason why you guys will start, especially you, the new beginner, will start and you will not be able to, continue is because of the fear of failure. Because, let me see if I can, I'm coming. Let me do something quick. Okay, good. It's the fear of what? Failure. Because you think that, one, I'm going to spend a lot of money, and then at the end, I may not even end up going to the US. The second thing is because of distractions. You may get people who tend to discourage you. Oh, you cannot go to the US. It's so expensive. Man, you are coming from a very poor background. How can you go to the US? How can you pay for the various application fees? How can you pay for your flight? So all these side distractions. Apart from that, the fear of failure, that when you do all these processes and your money, you invest a lot of money and it will turn out not to be positive. Okay, so the fear of failure will not let you move towards your dream. And whenever you are not moved towards your dream, it will not be revealed to you. Okay, you'll be stuck and you tend to settle on an average. That's not what we were created for. We are created to settle for success, not average. Whenever you are settled at average or you are tired of being an average person, you have to move on. And that is why I'm here, to help you discover your talent, your greatness, and then to move on with your God-given gift and to reach where you want to be at. Okay, so in this, I'm going to tell you all the processes you have to learn and then how you can reach or how you can pursue your education to its very logical conclusion. So the first thing I'm going to talk about here is take away, if you want to study in the US, take away the fear of failure, that I'm going to spend a lot of money, and if I invest a lot of money, I may not be able to fulfill my goals because I've spent a lot of money and then I couldn't achieve. Don't think about that one. If your goal is to be here in the US, you have to pursue it, work towards it, engage in it. The more you engage in it, the more it will be revealed to you, the more you learn. And then in the near future, you just be like, just like me. Okay, so that is one thing I want to reveal to you from this slide. Now, let's look at the various steps. If you want to study in the US, there are 5 steps that you have to engage, okay, or you have to start with if you want to study in the US. And it's not a step-by-step process, but you just have to engage in all these processes that I've listed here in this particular slide. Okay, it's not in any chronological order, but just make sure you follow any of these. And then if you have a pen or a paper, just grab all these, take notes, and then let me know through the question section. Okay, now the first thing I want to talk about is, before you start to do anything about study in the US, one, you have to research your options. That's the first thing. Research your options. Now, you may have heard about, especially if you are outside the US, you may have heard about Ivy League schools. I don't know if you guys have heard about Ivy League schools. Ivy League schools. Okay, these are the top ranking schools, not in the US, but in the world. Here you'll be thinking about Harvard, you'll be thinking about Princeton, you'll be thinking about MIT, you'll be thinking about Cornell, you'll be thinking about Brown. All those high-ranking universities. But what I want you to know, okay, especially if you're outside the US, that is what will always be in your mind. I want to be in Harvard. I want to be in Brown. I want to be in Princeton. I want to be in Cornell. But if you are here, it's the opposite. That is what I want you to know. If you are outside the US, okay, the secret is that there is no official ranking system in the US. Every school is a top ranked school. But if you are outside, you think that they are top ranked schools. But if you are here, every school is a top ranking school. So all that you have to do is you look for a school that will best suit your needs, okay, that will meet your requirements. Now, meeting your requirements, we're talking about one, your performance, okay. Maybe you didn't perform well, but you are looking for a high ranking school like Harvard. So you see, you have to look for schools when you are researching for your options. One, research for schools that will best meet or suit your needs, that will meet all your requirements in terms of one, as I made mention of, your performance. Okay, if I am an average type of person, I will not be looking for these highly ranked schools. That competition, getting into that school in terms of admission is highly competitive. Even if you get admission, you may not end up getting funding. So look for schools that will suit your requirements, okay, in terms of your performance, your personal needs, your professional needs, and so on. So one, just look for schools that will meet your performance, okay. If you're an average type of person, there are a lot of schools, so thousands of schools in the US that provide funding. In fact, one thing about studying in the US is one of the countries in the world that tend to provide as many as fundings that you can think of. Okay, there are a lot of opportunities. Why do we call it the land of milk and honey? Why do we call it the land of the brave? There are a lot of opportunities in the US that we still need more people like you. Some of these people like you who are on this platform, passionate people like you, to fill in all these spaces. There are a lot of opportunities, full scholarships that will even sometimes pay for your air ticket. Okay, so there are a lot of opportunities. That is why US is tend to be the destination for many immigrants, land of the immigrants. I mean, other countries tend to be good, but you may not get all these opportunities like UK, like sometimes Canada is also better, like, like Europe, you may not get all these opportunities, but here we have a lot of opportunities for you. Okay, so still keep your dream, going. So then first now, as I already made mention of, is researching your options. Now, when you are researching for your options, okay, again, you are checking for things that will meet your, let me check my time, that will meet your professional needs, your personal needs, your requirements in terms of your performance. If I know I am an average person, I'll look into the type of schools to searching for. Now, the next thing is you have to ask yourself some questions. Oops, so the writing is going to be bad because I'm using my mouse to write. Okay. You have to ask yourself some questions. Okay, now what type of questions are you going to ask yourself? When do you want to school in the US? That's the first question you have to ask yourself. Do you want to school in fall 2021? If you decide that you want to school in fall 2021, that is when you have to now start with a checklist or a calendar. Now, when you have your checklist or your calendar, you now draw all these, like you write all these things down in terms of how to apply, the documents that you need, and all those things. So it all starts with asking yourself some questions. When do you want to start, or when do you want to school in the US? If you want to school in the US in fall 2023 or fall 2024, meaning you still have more time, so you will take your time to, go through all these stages. But if you want to school in fall 2021, next year, that is when you have to now plan by putting all these checklists. You need a checklist. Checklist is just like a calendar. You write all these things that like a calendar that you follow. They'll engage you, to meet everything that they need. Okay. So when do you want to school? And then how many schools do you want to apply? The number of schools. Okay. Now, in terms of number of schools, I often recommend people using this strategy. Okay. If you have more funding, it depends on, your funding, your financial means. If you have, more funding, or if you have more money that you want to apply, the higher schools that you apply, the better. Because when you apply for so many schools, it gives you so many chances, okay, to even select. In terms of when you are given admission, you can even select the ones that you want to get. Because, it's very competitive. There are a lot of people applying from all over the world, and you are not the only one. You're going to compete with people for funding or for full scholarship. So the more schools you apply, the better the chance that you'll be able to get full scholarships. But if you don't have funding, okay, if you don't have more money to apply, then you can go in for 232. I think 232 should be fine. You're going for somehow your dream school. What school do you want to attend? Maybe you've been dreaming about a particular or some particular schools. Those are your dream schools. So these are the two schools called dream schools. Okay, dream. My handwriting is not good because I'm using my mouse. Also, these are the dream schools. And then you going for three tier schools, middle tier schools. These middle tier schools are schools that your credentials or performance actually, meet all the school requirements. They are known as the middle tier schools, meaning your credentials, your average meet the, the requirements. And then the last thing is, I will not say low schools, but I'll just say schools that your credentials are even above. There are some schools here that are not really, really, really popular. So meaning some of these schools may just be like not low school. I'm not every school is a high ranking school in the US, but I will just refer to them here as low ranking schools. In that your credentials, your average, maybe your performance is even higher than these type of schools. Okay. But if you even have more funding, you can even increase this. You can even go for 2 here, even 4 or 5 here, and even maybe 3 or 4 here. Okay, remember, the more schools that you apply, the better your chance. If you get so many funding, so for example, I applied to about, let me say 10 schools, okay, 10 schools, and then 5 of these schools gave me partial funding. 5 gave me full funding. Full funding. These 5 gave me partial funding. And remember, if you have partial funding, it's very hard for you to get a visa, because now that if you get a partial funding, meaning you have to still prove with a bank statement. And they know sometimes you go in for bank statement, you even go and buy bank statements from the bank, or maybe an uncle, maybe someone who is not related to you, but you pretend that the person is your uncle. They know all these tricks. Okay, so having partial funding sometimes is not helpful. So the best thing is just to get full funding. When you get full funding, there's more chance of getting full scholarship. It's about somewhere like 98%, but it's not still guaranteed. You apply to 10 schools, 5, you have 5 partial funding and then 5 full scholarships or 5 full funding. Among the 5 full funding, maybe like, let's say school A is giving you a stipend. Stipend is your monthly, the money, even though they're all providing full tuition. The stipend will vary. Some will provide you with maybe like, let me say 10,000 stipend for the whole year. Okay, school B will provide you with 12,000 stipends. School C will provide you with 15,000 stipend. School D will provide you with 20,000 stipends. School E will even provide you with 30,000 stipend. Let me ask you, which of these will you go? If you have 5 schools, okay, providing with various fundings, which of these schools will you go to? Can anyone talk briefly? Okay, someone is. See. Okay, school E. Someone says school E. Perfect. I will definitely also go in for school E, because one, remember, it's very expensive in the US. So the more funding that you have, the better. And remember, master's degree, doctoral degree, or PhD, it's like business. Remember, you are going for school for so many years, especially. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so doctoral degree or PhD is just like, it's just like business. You are going to school for so many years, so you need something just like you are working. So the better you get more funding, the more you get funding, the better it is. But if you are in PhD or doctoral program and for 4 or 5 years, and you are still getting, like 10,000 or 15,000, it's very small. Especially if you look at your needs, you have to pay for housing, you have to pay for internet. If you're having a car, you have to pay for insurance, health insurance, so many things. So you need more funding. That is why I said the more schools you apply, the better it is, so that you can now make your decision. Okay, oh, I have 5 schools giving me funding. Now let me select based on the choice, okay, based on funding and then based on location, because you don't want to go to any place. Every place in the US is fine, but I mean, your destination based on your personal needs. You have to decide on where you want to go into. Do you want to go into states that are made up of, or that are very cold, especially the Northeast US, New York, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Vermont, and so on. All these are cold states. Or you want a tropical state like Florida, like California, or the southern states. So it depends on all your needs. Okay, that is why I said you have to research your options. Search very well for your options, and then know the kind of schools, your personal needs. Do you want to go to a cold state, or do you want to go to tropical? Do you want to school in a tropical state? The second thing is, do you want to school in an urban area? For example, do you want to settle in New York? Are you the urban type, or you want to look into a suburban or even a country or a rural area. So it all depends on your needs, okay, your personal needs. But again, all boils down to researching your options. When you know the time you want to school, and then you work towards it, okay, by making your checklist. And then another important thing for the first part is deadlines. Deadlines. Okay, you have to try and meet various. I think I'm writing everywhere on the screen, but I think it's okay if you can still hear me. Okay, everything that you have to do here is about deadlines, meeting deadlines. Now, if you are applying for master's degree or doctoral degree, you hear about this term known as priority deadline. That is where you tend to gain scholarships, okay? Every application will tend to have priority deadline, meaning if you meet the priority deadline, they'll review your application for scholarships or funding. If you exceed or go beyond the deadline, they'll review your application for admission, but you will not get scholarship. So when you are applying, look in or check that you meet deadlines. Is anyone applying for undergraduate here? I believe you guys are all looking for masters and doctoral, right? Right. No one is applying for undergraduate. Is anyone applying for undergraduate here?
Per our survey, I think it's masters and
Okay,
PhD.
masters and PhD, correct. Okay, because if it is undergraduate, there's something different that I'll talk about deadline. But for masters and PhD, the only thing that you need is make sure that one, when you are applying, you check for deadlines, priority deadlines. Priority deadlines simple means that these are when they review applications for admission and then scholarship. Sometimes just submitting an application will automatically, take you for the scholarship. You don't have to apply for a separate application or put in a separate application for a scholarship. It's just one. Once you apply, they review your application for admission and then scholarship. But you have to meet the priority deadline. Another thing that you hear about is rolling deadline. Rolling deadline simple means they review your application as it comes in, meaning if we get 5 people applying, they'll review applications just right now and then they'll let us know very soon. Once they are able to give the scholarships to these 5 people, any application that will come in, they'll review application for only admission but no scholarship. That is rolling deadlines. Okay, they'll just review your application as it comes in. So if you see rolling deadline, meaning you have to still apply very early, because when you apply early, they'll review application for admission and then scholarship. So meaning once they give scholarship to a certain number of people, the remaining people, they'll review application for only admission, okay? But most doctoral and then master's degree programs tend to, highlight priority deadline, as I already made mention of. The second thing is you start your financial planning as soon as possible. Investing in the US is very expensive, so you have to plan very well. How many schools do you want to apply? It's not just applying to so many schools, top ranking schools, and you not even end up getting any schools. That is why I said you have to plan very well, because you are spending more money in US dollars. So you have to plan very well and know how many schools that you are applying. The schools that you are applying, you've done your research very well, and you know that when you apply, you're going to get admission and you're going to get scholarship. So planning very well with in terms of the number of schools that you have to apply, and then also planning in terms of financial or making financial planning that is also very, very necessary, because you don't want to come here and pay out of pocket, unless maybe if you have more money that you can pay. But it's very expensive, especially tuition. For out of state tuition, you end up paying somewhere like 20,000, 30,000 a year. Okay, depending on the type of school. Some of the schools you pay like 15,000 a year. It's very expensive. That is only tuition. How about your health insurance? You need to pay or buy health insurance for every academic semester. How about your housing? How do you pay for your accommodation every month? You have to pay for accommodation month by month basis. It's not a semester, it's month by month basis. How do you feed? So it's a transportation, it's a whole lot of things. So you have to plan very well. That is why when you are planning, after you research for your options, the next thing is even very important than the rest. It's about funding. Look for schools that will provide you with full scholarship, not partial scholarship. That is why I said my language is full scholarship. When you get full scholarship, they'll pay for your stipend, they'll pay for your tuition, and then the next thing is you'll still even be having money to save, to pay for your health insurance, to pay for your car insurance, to pay for your accommodation, and so on. Okay, that is why you have to look for full funding schools. That is very, very important. Now, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is application requirements. Now, after you've done your research, okay, researching for the number of schools to apply, researching for the various schools, okay, to apply, and then looking at these options for about their funding. Now, you know that, sorry, you know that these are the schools that I'm going to apply. The next thing is research or look into every school that you apply into their one application requirements. What do they require? They require every school have a basic form of application requirements. If I'm writing, I think I'm always very slow, so I'll speak rather than just writing. One, they will need letters of recommendations. Okay, that is one. They also need your transcript. Okay, some schools require you to submit test requirements. These test requirements will vary. Some will require you to submit GRE, some will require you to submit GMAT. If we're applying for business program sometimes require you to submit GRE or they require you to submit the GMAT. But with these two, especially if you're going for MBA or business program, I prefer you to write the GRE than the GMAT because the GMAT is tend to be limited only to more specifically to only the business program. But GMAT is more specific to only the business program, but GRE cuts across. You can apply for business program or non-business programs, the sciences, the engineering, any other program you can use the GRE. So if you're applying for business programs, instead of writing, if the school requires you to take a test requirement, the GRE or the GMAT, going for the GRE rather than the GMAT. Some schools also want you to demonstrate English proficiency by taking the TOEFL, the test of English as foreign language. You know, other schools will want you to write the IELTS. Okay, the IELTS, I think it's IELTS, IELTS. This is an English proficiency test that is more required, especially in United Kingdom and other European countries, more of, European countries and United Kingdom. But in the US, if they ask you to write English test or English proficiency test, this is the best. TOEFL, test of English as a foreign language. It's been organized by the, I forgot.
British Council.
No, this is organized, thank you. This is organized by the British Council, but the TOEFL and the GRE is being organized by, it just skipped my mind right now. But when it comes to my mind, I'll tell you more about that.
Is it ETS?
ETS, correct.
Yeah.
ETS, English, sorry, ETS. Okay, they organize the TOEFL, they organize the GRE and so on. And then SAT is being organized by the College Board. Okay, so if the school requires you to submit, okay, someone has a question. Let me just check quick. Please, what are the requirements for health-related courses? Yes, I'll answer all these questions within the 10 minutes section. Okay, I'm going to talk about every question that you have about health-related or any other question that you have. Someone also asked, do you have to pay application fee? I'm going to answer all the questions. Let me finish with this slide and then I'll answer all the questions. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so I still have about 4 minutes. Okay, so let's continue with this section. So if the school requires you to submit English proficiency requirement, mostly they'll say that, or they'll talk about TOEFL. Okay, you have to just register and prepare for the TOEFL or the TAS, the GRE. But there is my trick. If any school requires you to submit English proficiency test like the TOEFL, one, if you are coming from a country where English is a primary language for instruction, for example, high school, tertiary institutions, and so on, because you speak English and English was used as an official language of instruction, one, you have to write to the school that one, my country use English as an official language of instruction for teaching and all for business purposes. So you want to find out if they can waive the TOEFL test for you. Sometimes most of the schools waive it for you. If they waive it for you, it's going to save you money because it's somewhere like $190. It's going to save you money and it's going to save you time. So that is one thing that you have to do to waive the TOEFL test. Okay, but some schools also, if you have a very strong GPA, okay, like 3.5 and above, some of them even will not require you to take the GRE or the GMAT test. So again, just check with the schools and then, communicate with them, communicate with the graduate school, especially the coordinator, communicate with the international office as well to find out about the English requirement, okay? But your point of communication should be always the graduate school and then the international office, okay? Some also require, apart from letters of recommendation, your transcript, some also require you to standardize your transcript to US equivalents, okay? Some schools will not require you to do that. If they require you to do that, you have to communicate with the school and then find out about the type of transcript evaluation body that they require. If they require this, they will state on their website that we need you to evaluate your transcript and we need you to use, either they will need you to use WES or other forms of transcript evaluation body. WES is known as World Education Service. They tend to standardize your transcript to US equivalent, okay? If I'm speaking fast, just let me know, okay? I tend to speak fast, especially because of the time. So if they want you to standardize your transcript to US equivalents, they will sometimes state this evaluation body, either WES or other evaluation bodies. But if they don't state the transcript evaluation body, but they still need this, then I prefer you to go in for this. Okay. Now, other things that I would like to talk about is crafting your resume. Okay, resume is 1 to 2 pages. You don't have to exceed more than 1 to 2 pages. Okay, writing. If you want to learn about how to write top-notch resume, just let me know after this, because sometimes resume will make you more competitive for full scholarship. So writing a top-notch resume is very, very important. 1 to 2 pages. That will summarize every other thing that you have, your experience, your professional goals, and your achievement, etc. Okay. Another thing that you have to do is about your essay. One of the single most important thing that people tend to ignore is your personal essay or your statement of purpose. So here you are crafting, every school have their requirements. Sometimes they will ask you to write maybe 2,000 words, okay? Sometimes they ask you to write 1,500 words, sometimes 500 words. If I ask you to write 500 words, condensing this in just 1 page, how do you write a compelling, comparative personal statement or essay? Again, it all depends on brainstorming. Okay, look at the requirements. What topics do they want to write? And then you brainstorm and then you start, writing this. But we can talk about this later on. Okay. So all these are the documents that you need. Okay. So just look at the document and then you prepare. This will be part of your checklist. You prepare, or you write everything that they need and then you work towards it, towards the deadline. That is why I said you need a checklist. Anytime you are able to meet each of these checklists, you just rule it out or you even mark it to just make sure that you've met this requirement for the checklist. Okay. Now, once you are done with all these, the next thing is if you apply, I'm not going to go more into that because my time is almost up. The next is questions. So once you're able to apply, submit applications, now they review and then they give you admission. They'll send you an official document known as the I-20. The I-20. The I-20 is the official document that you need to go to the embassy. Okay, so you need to use this to apply for your visa. If you get full scholarship with the I-20, it will let you know that it's full funding, meaning you don't even need any bank statement. Okay, when you're going for interview, when you have full scholarship, you are very confident because definitely 98% you may end up getting the visa. But if it's partial funding, it turns out that you may not even get a visa because one, they need to prove additional funding, and they know most of you go in to get a statement from or to buy from the bank. They know all these tricks. Okay. So the next thing is you have to apply for your visa. You need all the requirements. There are a lot of processes that you need to apply for a visa. I'll talk about this maybe in another time because of the time. And the next thing is after you apply for a visa, if you get your visa approved, is pre-departure orientation. So here you have to prepare the required document that you need to travel. You have to now make travel arrangements by booking your flight, making your housing arrangement, and then pre-departure orientation. Here you have to know about cultural differences. You have to know about U.S. educational setting. What expectation do you have to meet in the U.S.? There are a lot of pre-departure orientation that you have to also learn before now you travel. Okay, so this is basically, that's why I didn't make my slides long. That is basically so I'll tend to answer all these or address all these questions in the comment section. Okay, any question that you have. So the American dream is real. Okay, it all started from a dream. Having just having a dream and working towards that dream here I am right now, rocking and rolling in the US. Okay, there are a lot of opportunities here. It's meant for the brave. There are a lot of opportunities. That's why we call it the land of milk and honey. Okay, when you come here, it depends on your goal. Do you want to come here and stay, or you want to come here and then return back to your country? So it depends on you, but the American dream is real. So I'll end here, and then I'll give you guys the rest of the 8 minutes to ask me any questions that you have, and I'll address it for you.
Okay, thank you very much, Coach Jones. It makes me miss Michigan. Yeah. So I think there are a couple of questions. I had 3 questions prior to this meeting, so maybe I asked that, and then others are in the chat session. We can also pick them. So there was this question from Vivian. She sent it to me a couple of days ago. She wants to know contacting a supervisor prior to application, does it help to get the scholarship?
Very, one of the, because of the time, I have to condense everything within 30 minutes. I have a lot of information to share, but because of the time, I couldn't go into specific things. But the first thing, if you're applying for graduate program, the first single most important thing after researching for a school is to contact a supervisor. So that is what I do. Now, if I'm applying for a program like microbiology, biology, physics, chemistry, etc., chemical engineering, etc., what you have to do is now go to the school's website, look at the program that you want to apply to, search for these professors, okay, look at their research background. Whoever research background matches or aligns with your research background, then you write, I can teach you how to craft something nice and send it to them. You write something nice, a piece, just come up with something nice. Tell them about your professional goals, what you want to do, what you envision about their lab. Tell them briefly about your personal experiences, and then tell them about your research background, what you learned. That will even make you more strong, very strong in their lab. When you send it to them, and then now they reply back that, oh, that is very great. I would like to accept you in my lab. That is a perfect fit. Meaning, if any advisor or supervisor accepts you in his or her lab, that is 100%. Let me write it here: 100% guarantee that you get full scholarship. That is the first single most important thing that you do. Guarantee that you get a full scholarship, because all the fundings are being allocated to the supervisors or the advisors. So whoever pitch you in their research, they'll fund you with their funding. The funding that they have, they'll fund you with it. Okay, that is the first important thing. This normally applies to those applying to the sciences, biology, physical science, biology, chemistry. Although everything involving with research, that's the first thing you have to do. Okay.
The other question was also from another colleague from Kenya. So it was quite lengthy, but what he wanted to say is that he had the opportunity, but unfortunately he missed the priority deadline. So the supervisor asked him to come to the US and then work for the first year to pay the fees, and in the next year he will help him to get the scholarship. So he wants to know, is it advisable to take that risk specifically, because he was required to pay 38,000 for the first year. So he wanted to know, because he still has time to accept that offer or not.
Yeah. Okay. As a coach, as a counselor, as a full scholarship coach, I would say no, don't go in for that. Because one, immediately you go to the embassy, they will deny you visa. It's guaranteed, unless maybe if you have a bank statement that is from your father or your mother, that shows the kind of relationship of your father or your mother, that you can show the 30,000 and above, and then you can go to the embassy. And then that way, sometimes you think because it's from your parents, father or mother, they will give it to you. But outside of this, if it's from your uncle, they don't care. They know it's a trick. Maybe you bought the statement, so they end up not giving it to you. And then that way, it will be recorded in their system that you were denied a visa. So you don't want to have more, multiple times being denied a visa. So you just want to make sure that the first time that you are going to the embassy, you get your visa. So this way I will not advise you, because one, if you even come here, how are you going to pay for tuition? 2, how are you going to pay for your housing? 3, how are you going to pay for health insurance? How are you going to pay for insurance, accommodation, your living? It's a whole lot of things. So I would say there are a lot of opportunities. If this one doesn't work, that's why I told you, apply to so many schools. If this one doesn't work, there are a lot of things, other schools that you can still look into. That will still give you more opportunities. Okay, I don't want to go more because of the time. Let's take
All
more
right.
questions. We
Thank
can
you.
still talk more.
You
Okay,
can look at the other. Do I have to repeat the questions, or you can check them from the chat
okay.
section?
Let me read the questions here quick, because I think we have 3 minutes for the Zoom to end. Right.
But this is an extended version, so you can try to address all the questions, and then we
Okay.
open the floor so people can ask direct questions.
Okay. So we have more than 1 hour, right?
Yeah, but we try to limit ourselves within 40-50 minutes scope.
Oh, okay. So now I'm going to relax. So I'm very sorry because I told you guys just have only 40 minutes. So I was just speaking, just talking quick. I should have relaxed when I was addressing. Okay, all right. But anyway, we are still in the question section. So the next question I'm going to answer from Emmanuel. What are the requirements for environmental science courses? Okay, so the requirements will just vary, but the basic requirements, as I already talked about, is letters of recommendation, transcript. Sometimes these courses, depending on the program, they may require you to submit test requirements like the GRE or the TOEFL. Okay, you need to submit your resume. You need to submit, apart from resume, you need to submit your personal statement. So each school will have the type of essay, the topics that they want you to write. And then another thing, you have to pay for the application fee. So these are the basic requirements that you need. Okay, Emmanuel. These are the basic. It varies by school. Just you have to go to the school, look at the program, the environmental science, and then look at their requirements. Okay, but the basic requirements are just what I made mention. Recommendations, it will depend. Some will require 2 or 3 recommendations. Transcript, either they will require just you to mail your transcript officially from the school, or they require to standardize your transcript. Some will require to have to take the TOEFL test, some will not require. Some will require to take the GRE test, some will not require it. But you need the resume, you need your personal statement written down, and so on. These are the basic requirements. Now, the next one is, what are the requirements for health-related programs? So, Joycelyn, can you tell me about specifically which health programs are you talking about? Medicine? Are you talking about medicine, nursing, or dental surgery? Or let me know specifically, because there are a lot of different requirements for all these health programs. So can Joycelyn tell me, let me see. Oh, public health, okay. Yes, so if you want to apply to any public health program, let me give you here, just go to, can you see me? www.sofas. Now, every time you want to apply for any public health program in the US, they have a centralized system known as SOFAS, okay? A central system where you have to submit application to any, look, every public health institution in the US, okay, they are part of the SOFAS, okay? So just go to SOFAS, www.sofas.com. Okay, www.sofas.com, School of Public Health and something, yeah, School of Public Health, I forgot about the remaining two. Okay, but just go to SOFAS. Every school dealing with public health is part of the SOFAS centralized system of application. That is where you submit all your, it's a very nice, centralized system that you can submit all your applications. Very, very nice. I've used it for many people who wants to study, who wanted to study public health in the US. Now, these are the requirements. It follows the same pattern, letters of recommendation. Okay, but that one in the SOFAS centralized system of application, when you fill the application, you have to enter your referees, okay, their name, phone numbers, email address, and then they will send them a link that they will just submit the recommendation letters. And then you have to even upload your letters of, your resume, your personal statement, all through the SOFAS, okay? So yes, SOFAS have all the schools for public health. So just go through and look at all the schools that matches your interest or your preference, and then you start to apply based on. And then with the SOFAS, one thing that you have to know is what the first school, I think is, I'm not sure, I think it's $100 or either $60. I'm not sure, just check. The first school is $60, but any other school that you apply is $50. The first school is always expensive. I think it's just 100. I'm not sure, but you check. The first school is you have to pay $100 application. Any other school that you apply, the remaining will be $50 for SOFAS, okay? So again, it's the same thing. It follows the rest of the patterns. Okay, letters of recommendation, personal statements. It depends on the school. If they'll need the GRE or they will not need it. If they will need a TOEFL or they will not need it. It will depend on the school. Every school will state their requirements in the SOFAs. Okay, every school that you want to apply, they will state their requirements. So check at the school that you want to apply their SOFAs and then check their requirements. Is that okay? I hope I answered all the questions for Jocelyn. All right, great. Any other question? Let me check again.
Yeah, there was another one.
Let me see. I think Adedoyin, okay, from Adedoyin Joy, did you pay application fee for all the schools you applied to? And then to school E. School E. What school E? Let me see. School E.
No, that was related to when you were asking a question.
Oh, okay. Yes. So now what happened is with bachelor's degree, normally they have something called application fee waiver. Okay, when you're applying to common application, you have to waive your fees, application fees. But with master's degree, it turns out that most schools will require you to pay application fee. But there are some schools that still will not require application fee. But there are very few. Those schools that will not require application fee are very few. So this is what I wanted to do because it's very expensive to pay application fee. For example, if I'm applying for 10 schools, okay, some will require you to even, some schools will have application fee, like one school will have 100, other school will have 70, others will have 80, others will have 90, others will have 60, and so on. Try to look for the schools, try to look for schools that will even have more funding, full scholarship, that will have even cheap application fee, like 50, 40, 30. You even get some even like 25 or 30. So if you apply for 10 schools and all of them are like 30 or 25, you realize that you can apply for so many schools. Okay, but if you apply for one school and it's 10 schools and one is 100, imagine if you apply for 10 schools, you end up paying like $1,000. Very expensive. Okay, so yeah, most schools will tend to have application fees, except mostly bachelor's degree, you can apply for a fee waiver. But for masters and PhD, mostly you hardly get schools, having fee waivers, unless these schools tend to just say that we don't have application fee. Some schools will tend to have, or some programs will not have, for example, some chemistry programs will not have application fees. Okay, some biology programs will not have application fees. So just check and then look at the application fee requirements, and then check and look at the tuition cost. If it is expensive, I will not go into it, unless maybe the school is, providing full scholarship that you definitely will get it. Then maybe you may end up paying for that particular application fee for that school. If not, you may end up applying for any schools paying so many, or paying much application fee and you not get admission or scholarship. So you have to be very careful when selecting these. Let me see any other question. Okay, let me go down. All right, so here, yes, it's very expensive. We are paying in Naira, very, very expensive. Because converting this to US dollars is converting dollars to Naira is very, very expensive. So you want to be very wise when you're applying. Look for cheap schools with cheap application fees, and then programs that will not even have application fees. Okay. What are the best time to apply for schools in the US, especially masters? Very, very, very good question. This will end me talking about admission cycle. There are 2 admission cycles. There are 3, but summer they don't tend to admit international students. So these are the 2 ones. Fall versus spring. Okay. Now, the difference here is that there are a lot of opportunities because the academic year usually starts in the fall and end in the spring. Because there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of full scholarships in the US, especially in the fall, because all these professors tend to get their funding in the fall cycle, okay? So when they get the funding in the fall cycle, they want to admit new students, okay? So when they tend to admit new students, every new student will be coming during the fall section because that's when professors will tend to disperse their funding. So they don't want to admit people in the spring because they've already used all their funding in the fall, and in the spring, no one wants to admit people with funding in the spring, because the academic year starts in the fall. Technically, it starts in the fall and end in the spring. So you want to get into the fall admission, and especially the fall admission also tend to have more programs. There are a lot of programs in the fall admission than the spring. Okay, and also if you want to do internship, mostly if you want to do internship, they require you to have certain number of taking certain credit hours before you can do internship in the summer. So if you start in the fall, okay, fall, so you have 1 semester spent. The spring semester, you may end up having 2 semesters spent. And then in the summer, you have 3 semesters spent. So you can even start your internship right away. But if you start the spring, January, you spend only 1 semester and then you move to summer. So meaning you cannot start your internship. So that's why you have to start the fall admission is always the best time to start for, especially for international students, based on one, funding, because you want to get more funding, and then the fall is always the best. Oh, the fall starts from August, somewhere like mid-August to late middle of December. Spring admission starts from somewhere like January to May. Okay, so there are 2 admission cycles. Fall starts from mid-August or somewhere late August to December. Spring starts from somewhere like mid-January to May. Okay, so you want to go in for the fall admission. That is the best. I hope I answered that question. Can you tell us in terms of month?
Yes. All right. I don't know if anyone has any question. You can unmute yourself and ask, or we try to draw
any question that you feel you want to ask more about masters, doctoral, you know.
Yeah, hello. I have a question I want to ask.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I want to find out, just as you've stated the duration or the time period for admission. Let's say some of us from West Africa, our academic year ends in, let's say, September or end of August. So assuming I'm still doing my undergrad and I want to apply for this, is it possible to apply for the awaiting, expecting that my certificate to be out somewhere latest October or November?
Okay, so I understand you right. So meaning you want to say you are studying undergraduate, like maybe you are doing your bachelor's degree, right?
Yes, please.
And then you want to study masters, right? But you are not done with school. You are still in school. Maybe you are in your last semester, right? Your last semester. Yeah. Okay. So let me show you how you can do it. So now the best thing is, now there's no this that you should finish or complete your program before you start applying. Most people tend to start applying during the last semester, okay, somewhere, 3 to 4 months before graduation. Even sometimes the previous semester, 2 semesters before. But what you can do is, now, you need a letters of recommendation. You'll contact your reference, okay? Your reference will start submitting their recommendation letters. You craft your resume. That one, it doesn't, there's nothing that you have to finish your school before you craft your resume. You'll start writing your essays. But the only thing is transcript. So meaning the time that you are applying, you're going to apply with your updated transcript. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Your updated transcript, meaning your transcript up to the semester you are in. Okay, meaning your final semester transcript will not be part of it. You provide your most updated transcript to the school. And then they'll start reviewing for admission and scholarship. Now, once they give you admission and they give you scholarship, and then you are done with school, when you receive your transcript, you now have to update them with your final degree transcript, your completed transcript to them. And then your certificate, your final certificate. Is it okay? Is that answered well?
Yeah, it's answered. So I want to know, is this also applicable if you are studying master's and you want to do PhD?
Yes, everything is must, even high school, you want to go into bachelor's degree, master's, you want to go into PhD, is applicable. The only thing, you have to start early, and then you provide all the requirements you have. Those things that you need, you realize that you haven't completed, provide the most updated ones. Your transcript, provide up to the date, the semester you are in, provide that transcript. When you graduate, provide a complete transcript. Then you provide the complete certificate. Yeah, but it's applicable to masters, to PhD. That's how they normally do. Oh, and then the next thing I want to talk about is there's another thing called BS to PhD pathway. you can skip master's degrees, meaning it's called skipping master's degree. You can apply for, when you're done with your bachelor's degree, you can apply direct to PhD, 5 years or 4 years, full funding. Usually, even most people, PhD tend to have more funding even than masters. The money is also big, or the stipend is big. So you can apply from bachelor's degree to directly into PhD by skipping the master's degree. We call it BS PhD pathway. But that one, I mean, make sure you have a good, a strong, good performance. Your GPA is very good and so on. You can skip masters and go directly into PhD for just 4 years, meaning you're not doing masters, you're just starting from BS to PhD, and then your funding is very big or very strong. Next question, is it always advisable to get a degree in your country as a diploma holder before traveling to pursue your masters? So one thing is, if you are applying for masters, most schools will tend to have completed a degree, 4-year degree. And then, in most West African countries, bachelor's degree tend to have 4 years. So meaning diploma will be less than 4, sometimes 2. So most people will tend not to, admit people into master's program having diploma because they haven't met the 4-year degree requirement that they want. They always want people coming into master to have, attended a 4-year degree program or, anything about 4 years. But diploma tends in Africa or West Africa tend to have either 2 years or sometimes 3 years. So if you want to go into masters, to access your chance for funding and so on, the best thing is just to have a 4-year degree so that it can pave way for you to get into a master's or a PhD. Any other questions?
Yeah, I think we have 2 or 3 minutes. So if anyone has any question, you can either type it in or just speak it out.
Speak it out, yeah.
All right. In the absence of none, I would like to thank you so much, Jones, for your time. I know you have a busy schedule, but to share this nugget with us, we really appreciate it. And I think for people who need extra idea and direction, they can follow on Instagram, or you can type your handles at the comment section so that they can follow you directly and try to get in touch with you.
Perfect. Let me just type it to you. So just go to Instagram, just type in Full Scholarship TV. Yeah, I'll start to share. I've been so busy that I'm now beginning to start, or I'm now beginning to, initiate something like, posting videos every week. I've just been so busy that I let me just say, pause this for some time. But I'm going to start posting videos, all things about study in the US, okay, at my YouTube channel. Sorry, my Instagram channel.
All right. So whilst you do that, I'd like to thank each and every one of you. So I'll make available the video later on in the day, and then I'm going to write a snapshot of the whole discussion and make it available. Also, I'll share your handles on the page with everyone. So officially, thank you all for joining. Our last section for the month of September will take place on 25th of September. You are free to invite your friends to join each and every session that we do organize. Thank you, and see you sometime very soon. Bye.
I'm very happy that a lot of people were able to learn, and thank you, Hammond, for creating this opportunity. Okay. All right. Have a great day, you guys.